Hey guys, how y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic and welcome back to the channel. And today for you guys, there's another movie review. I know it's been a hot minute since I've been in front of this thing. I gotta get new posters. I know you love seeing Ray and I don't know if you can see Kylo or Poe or the Praetor Captain Phasma. I don't know who you can see, but you can see someone. But we are back in front of this background here, the door, the famous door, and we are reviewing another movie. First video of 2026. Got a lot of stuff coming up this year. I've got another Star Wars edit that I'm actively working on. Well, I'll be starting it as soon as I'm done recording this one. So I got that. I got some other edits. I got a John Wick / ballerina edit. Of course, I am going back to work soon, so Hogwarts is going to kick my butt. But you know what? We'll try to get some videos out too. But we're reviewing David. So if you like this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Anyway, yeah, for those of you that don't know, probably all of you do. I believe in God. I'm religious. So that's, the main draw as to why I wanted to see this movie. I'm not gonna lie, there's been a lot of Catholic / Christian media over the years that have been really bad, and that's not to knock on the religion, that's just to knock on the fact that the media surrounding the religion can be bad, right? A lot of the times the movies are overly preachy, or it's just really cringy, horrible directing, horrible editing, horrible acting. Sometimes they try to be cool and edgy, and it just doesn't work. But this one I was like, alright, it's animated, it looks good, like really freaking good, Like it's got that Disney or DreamWorks style animation to it, where it looks like really clean and focused and good. Where a lot of stuff like VeggieTales and all that looks fine, stuff like that. But this clearly had a budget behind it, so much so that a lot of people on the internet were like, "Oh, this is AI, right? This is fake. This is all completely, this is AI slop." And I was like, "No, it's not AI slop. This is actually, good." Work and hard work, right? And obviously, there is a little bit of a message at the end of the film in the theater, but it's nothing bad, nothing woke, nothing bad, nothing meandering or pandering down your throat. But it's got a good message behind it, I suppose. But the movie is obviously about David. If you've read the Bible, which I'm going to be straight up, I have not read the Bible. I know about it, but I haven't sat down and read the whole thing. It's a big book. I might one day, but when I'm reading Star Wars books and school and life and video games and movies and YouTube, it's kind of hard to just sit down and read a big friggin' Bible. But one day I'll get to it, so we'll see how it goes. But it obviously follows the story of David from his childhood to adulthood and all that, and his eventual rise onto the throne. And I don't really want to say spoiler warning because it's the Bible, you know what I mean? Like, how do you spoil the... Spoiler alert, Jesus died for you. You know what I mean? Like, what do you say, right? But at this time, obviously, not everyone knows the story of David, and that's why this animated film came out. And I want to get this out of the way, too. This is a very good movie, but it's really funny. This was a packed theater when I saw it. It was, like, literally packed. There was, like, 2 seats that weren't taken. But this movie is animated, yes, but it's not for babies, right? I know that the kids movie trope gets thrown around a lot. There were kids there, but I guess to prove my point that it's not a kids movie, it's an animated movie, right? There's a difference between the two. The kids in my theater, the ones that I were next to, wouldn't shut up. They were loud, they were talking, the stupid mom was like, "Oh, yeah, it's the movie." And it's like, no, tell your kid to be quiet, I know this is a rant on, shutting up when you're in the theater, but still, right? The kid wouldn't stop. And with that, as a teacher, I was ready to get my bell out and get the candy or, whatever. But I couldn't do that because I wasn't at work at Hogwarts, so I couldn't, cast a spell. But in terms, I didn't do anything. But yeah, the kids that I was next to in the theater, they didn't care about the movie. They really didn't care. The kids were pretty much talking the entire time. I know TikTok and AI and the internet, it makes kids have the attention span of a dying animal, but at the same time, it's very much like, all right, if you're in the theater, stop talking, right? But the adults, oh my God, man, the adults were quiet, they were listening. There was a few people next to me that were, like, gasping and, like, on the edge of their seat. I'm not even kidding. So, if you were taking your kid to this movie, just know, it's rated PG, but for a PG movie, I would say kind of like the Spider-Verse movies, this is a very intense and mature movie. This is not, and I'm not saying SpongeBob isn't for adults, right? SpongeBob is for all ages, but the SpongeBob movie is a good contrast, right? The SpongeBob movie, Search for SquarePants, very good film, but it's funny and it's a comedy, right? It's supposed to be funny and constantly moving. That's the goal, right? That's what SpongeBob is. It's comedic. David is not a comedy movie. This is not a film that you can bring your toddler or newborn fetus to sit in front of the theater and be like, watch, you know what I mean? While I go drink or whatever they're doing. I don't know. But at the same time, it's dark and it's edgy and it's mature and it's borderline PG-13 at times. It's pretty jacked up. Without getting into the whole Bathsheba thing, if you don't know about that, don't worry about it. Obviously, David kills Goliath, right? And in the Bible, I believe David literally like beheads Goliath. He cuts his head off. He's like, hey, look at this, you know what I mean? And then they run away. Obviously, they're not going to show him beheading someone because he's like 10 or whatever. Again, for the Bible fanatics in the comments, I'm probably going to get something wrong. Again, I believe in the same thing you believe in. I just haven't read the Bible fully. So if I miss out on some details, don't get mad at me, okay? But it's pretty biblically accurate, I would say, for the most part, right? It follows the story beats you would get. But, you expect that this film is going to follow the events of David and he kills Goliath and that's it, right? Obviously that happens. And I'm not going to ruin it. Yeah, Goliath dies. Whoop-de-freaking-do, right? Who saw that coming? But the death scene is very, 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 very well done. It's exceptional. Again, this is not a film that is constantly in your face. Look, funny noises and flashing lights and colors. You know what I mean? This is not the Minions movie, right? This is a mature animated film that older kids, teenagers, and adults will love, right? Especially religious people. But it takes its time. There's some jokes in it, yeah, and there's songs, right? This is a musical, there are songs. And the songs are great, which we'll get into. But the death scene of Goliath is incredible. It's slow-mo, it's quiet, it's methodic, it's contemplative. It's pretty much everything you would want from a death scene of this nature, where it's not like, it's not like, oh, he gets hit in the head and he falls over and, there's a big splat and everyone's like, yeah, it's not like VeggieTales, right, where he's knocked out. This motherfucker dies, right? He's kaboomed. And with that kaboom has a, consequence, which of course gets into the second half of the film, which is about David's eventual rise to the throne with King Saul, and how that's kind of, if you've seen the Hobbit trilogy, which is one of my favorite trilogies, you know that Thorin Oakenshield kind of goes cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs toward the end of that trilogy, and it's kind of like that. I don't want to say that this movie rips off the Hobbit because it's from the Bible, and if anything, the Hobbit rips off the Bible, I guess. I don't know, but it has a really good focus where, David doesn't want to be king. He never wanted to, but people see this good nature in him, right? David is a shepherd for his sheep, metaphorically speaking and literally speaking. And you get that sentiment and that, statement of, oh, okay, you're going to be king. David's like, I don't want that, bro. And he's like, well, too bad. You're gonna do it and suck it up. And with that comes, of course, the responsibility that the great power holds, so to speak, right? And you get Saul getting kind of bitter and jealous, and you follow this kind of hatred that he has toward David that he eventually, he kind of, I guess it's kind of like the reverse of Anakin and Obi-Wan, right, in the prequels. It's very, very much like that. And again, without ruining it and getting into whole details, this is not just David kills Goliath and then they sing and then it's over, right? There's like a part 2, and then there's eventually a part 3 where there's some character arcs and there's some songs that come back and there's some little moments that kind of come back and tie into that. And, people saying that this is one of the best animated films they've seen in a while, I don't think they're kidding, right? And I know some people are like, oh, it's just a bunch of bots, and they're saying that, right? Oh, well, the movie's failing and they need bots and they need AI to help. It's like, no, I genuinely think this is, like, I'm not a bot, you know what I mean? Like, this is a good freaking movie. Like, it's I would say the very first incredible, borderline perfect Christian/Catholic religious movie. I've seen a lot, and some of them are good, some of them are downright trash. And this one, it has the message of believing in God without shoving it down your throat. It's like listening to Skillet, right? Skillet is a religious band. They're a Christian band. But every song is not like, God loves you and you love God. It's not like cheesy or pandering down your throat with a message. It gets the message across without being overly cliche or funny or kiddie or goofy or whatever. And that's kind of what this film is all about too. It has that message of God, but it also has good messages. If you're not religious, I don't know why, but if you're not, right, like, you clearly should get some sort of message from this movie, even if it's not love God or God's real or whatever that would be, right? It's okay, treat people with kindness, or be a leader or whatever, right? There's a lot of good stuff in there as well. And again, the animation is top tier. It literally is one of the most gorgeous movies I've seen in a while. I just saw Zootopia 2, and that looked amazing too. But this movie has Disney caliber effects and CGI and animation, right? It looks really, really good. The voice acting is incredible. Phil Wickham, a Christian religious singer. He voices adult David. He does not voice child David, which is voiced by another guy I don't know, I'm sorry, but he did a great job too. The voice acting in this is exceptional. Like, it's genuinely incredible voice acting work for, what I was expecting to be, passable or bad, because again, religious movies have this, sadly, they have this rep of being not great, right? But this one actually, like, it delivered, man. I mean, King Saul has, like, an incredible voice acting performance where, like, everything, when you have great voice acting and really good animation and a good script, good music, I mean, everything pretty much comes together to make a cohesive narrative that in an hour and 50 minutes, if it genuinely, this movie felt like a 3-hour long epic, and I'm not even exaggerating. Like, it felt like a long movie in a good way, right? It wasn't long in the sense of, I want this to be over. This was long, like, this movie keeps going, and there's, enemies, and there's these really creepy looking, skull looking guys that capture David, and there's, like, tension, and there's battles, and there's, maybe not a whole lot of blood and gore and death, but, it handles that in a really mature way where, a kid watching won't have nightmares for a year, but an adult watching won't be like, oh, this is just the baby version of David, right? Like, no, like, this is the complete, like, guns out version, so to speak, or knives out version, you know what I mean? They're going for it, and they're doing it in a family-friendly way, which is really, really great, where, again, as a 27-year-old, yeah, I went with my parents, we went as a family, but I didn't take any babies and children and infants and fetuses with me, right? There were no kids that I took. Me, my mom, and dad were all engrossed. Like, the whole theater was silent the whole time. We were clapping at the end. I mean, it was like a freaking event. It was crazy. It was like watching episode 9 or like Endgame. You know what I mean? Like some crazy theater-going experience where the audience is cheering and whatnot. And it wasn't as loud as, say, a Deadpool and Wolverine cameo, but it had that same effect where, when you have all of these things coming together, it really, really makes a tremendous film. And I swear this better get released on Blu-ray. I'm going to get a way to find this on physical because it's a great film. As far as negatives, I mean, there's one or two jokes that, don't land as much. I mean, I know some people were talking about the pacing in the middle being kind of slow. I didn't mind that because I'm an adult and I don't have the attention span of a mongoose, right? Like, I'm able to comprehend things that aren't just visually flashing lights, and I think that's really what makes this movie work. It doesn't pander to children. This is not a kid's movie, right? This is a movie for everyone. It's just an animated film, as I said in the beginning. There's a big difference between those two words. Kids and animated. It depends on what you're watching, right? And obviously with this, it's like, okay, yeah, this is something that the whole family and anyone can get behind, and it respects the audience, right? This movie is not just, flashing lights and colors and noises to make a baby happy, right? Like, yeah, there are jokes and there are songs, but just because a movie has jokes and songs doesn't automatically make it demeaning and for babies, you know what I mean? People need to have critical thinking skills. Obviously, in 2026, media literacy is still horrible. I was actually talking about this in Hogwarts. Media literacy is the ability to be literate, so to speak, or to, understand or comprehend certain types of media. Obviously, being literate means you can read and write, but that kind of translates or transcends to the idea of using your brain and thinking for yourself and actually applying logic and reason. And when you do that, you kind of get art more. And this movie is art. Like, every movie is art, but this one really, really freaking blew me away, man. I was genuinely surprised. I mean, this is a must-see, especially if you're religious, if you believe in God. Obviously, what are you doing? Go see this movie. But even if you don't, it's a good. I would even say, it's pretty much a masterpiece in animation. I mean, I really didn't have that many negatives. Like, it really, really blew my mind. Everything works. Everything's good. Again, maybe one or two jokes don't land, right? Okay, the songs aren't the most amazing Disney Encanto songs ever, but they are pretty much Disney quality. They are not songs that are, like, really bad or, like in those horrible straight-to-VHS religious things that are like, God is good, no, they're very, very good songs, right? And they're catchy and they fit the narrative and they fit what's going on. They're not just singing to sing, right? So everything really comes together by the end when the third act, or it feels like a fourth act hits, right? And like you get this crazy action and all this stuff's going on. There are character arcs and these moments that kind of, like I said, come together in the end to make the story come full circle in a really good way. So David is a phenomenal film, man. Really, I mean, I was expecting it to be good because it always looked, right, like the trailers looked good, but I was like, all right, this could either go, it could look good and be bad, or it could look good and be great. And fortunately, it's freaking amazing, man. I genuinely love that movie, and I can't wait to get it on Blu-ray or some kind of physical HD, hopefully as soon as possible. It's probably not going to do that great. Religious movies never do that good, sadly. But I understand why to a degree. as a religious person, as I said, they don't have the best reputation. But this one I feel like kind of breaks that curse, right? It's like Detective Pikachu, or for me, Assassin's Creed 2016, right? Like we're getting, we now have very good video game movies, right? The Sonic trilogy, stuff like that. Mario movie. So if we're able to break the video game stereotype of, oh, all video game movies are bad, right? This one, for me at least, broke that stereotype of, you know, religious films can be masterpieces of cinema, right? And obviously there have been good ones, right? I saw God's Not Dead, and that was fine. The Encounters, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. I bet there are certain movies, I didn't see Noah, I know it's a comic book movie, but with Emma Watson, or what's his face, you know, so it's not like they're all bad, but you know, they have this reputation of being not that great, and this one I think is really, really good. So tell me down below in the comments what you think about David. I don't want to get into a holy war in the comments. If I'm wrong about a certain detail, I don't really care. Correct me nicely, I guess, but you know, I want to say it's pretty biblically accurate. Obviously, it's not full on. You know, if you actually read the Bible, which I read a little bit of it, it's if you were to make a movie about the Bible, it would probably be the most hard R, like adult only rated R movie ever. Like, there is gore and, you know, really horrible things that happen in the Bible that are in that book, even regarding David, right? Which I won't get into, but there are some things that they kind of omit and kind of, you know, don't show, but they tell the general story of this kid to an adult and how he becomes the king and all that, and all that, and it's a really good film. So tell me down below if you saw David. If not, are you gonna see it? And yeah, anyway, I can't wait to review more movies. I got Avatar, Fire and Ash, which some people are saying fire and ass, but we'll see. I don't know. You know what I mean? I haven't seen it. I do need to review Avatar 1 and 2. I'm going to, you know, rewatch those before I see Fire and Ash. So we'll see. Maybe I'll even play that game again. I don't know. But yeah, I got some Avatar stuff, got some Star Wars edit, some John Wick edit, a lot of videos coming up this year. Hope you guys have a safe and fun and happy 2026. And yeah, probably one of the only videos I'll say I'm praying for you guys, but I do. You know what I mean? Like, as a religious person, I don't say that every video. But because I don't want to get political, right? But like straight up, you know, hey, we're talking about God, right? Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like, and again, let's talk about David down below in the comments. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.